In this video, I will take this empty Nano tank and show you how to transform it into a lush aquascape with a handmade driftwood arch for my Dwarf Panda Guppies, or for any small nano fish. Hello everyone, this is Charles from the Fishloft. I have a passion for low-tech planted tanks, and this will be my first attempt at crafting a driftwood arch. For this project, I am starting with this small nano tank, Red Moor driftwood, and dragonstones. The first step is to create the base of the arch. I am starting with 2 pieces of dragonstone to create the base at each end of my arch, which I will connect with driftwood. If you are like me and don't have a lot of patience waiting for superglue to dry, try using an accelerator. It really works for me. Be sure to use an aquarium safe glue. I just keep adding more and more branches to form a tangled arch. I don't want the arch to be too symmetrical, so I'm adding some branches to keep the shape a little more natural. I am pretty happy and a bit surprised with my first attempt, and it actually took a lot less time than I thought it would. Let's see how it looks in the tank. Phew, it fits. I'm going to let this completely cure overnight. It is the next day, and we are ready to start setting up the tank, so let's take out the arch. I am starting with some wet sand that I am reusing from one of my other tanks. Since I don't intend to plant stem plants in this tank, I am not including a base of aqua soil like I normally would. Since I don't need a lot of sand to plant roots in, I am keeping the sand fairly shallow, just enough to grow a colony of beneficial bacteria. We can now place the arch back into the aquarium. These are the plants we will be adding to the tank. They are all slow-growing epiphytes that prefer low lighting, that should not be planted in soil. I am starting with this mixed group of Bucephalandra that I have purchased already growing on this wire mesh. I think it will like this shady spot under the arch. I am placing it on top of the sand as you don't want to bury its roots. I am nudging the roots of the Anubias nana in between the driftwood on the back of the arch. I think its large, green, pointy leaves will create a lush background. The roots will eventually attach themselves to the arch driftwood. Anubias nana petite, with its smaller, pointed leaves, is better proportioned for the front of the arch. I am also adding Anubias golden coin on the right, which has more rounded leaves. We can now add our tap water. For this tank build, I am using a mini internal filter that I have been running in another tank to get it ready and cycled. It is filled with biofilter media, a coarse sponge, and polyfill, which will provide both mechanical and biological filtration. I will heat the tank with this mini heater, which is set to 78 degrees, which I will hide behind the arch. I have added a light which I will run for about 8 hours a day, and turned on the filter. Water conditioner will remove any chlorine and heavy metals from my tap water, making it safe to add my fish later on. Even though my filter is cycled, whenever I set up a new tank, I always add additional beneficial bacteria to help kickstart the ecosystem. I will sit back and give my plants a few days to settle in as the driftwood releases some beneficial tannins into the water. It has been about 5 days, and now I am ready to introduce my Dwarf Panda Guppies. I have seen this fish labeled for sale as both a Dwarf Panda Guppy as well as a Dwarf Panda Endler, probably because they are actually a mix of both guppies and endlers, so the name is a bit interchangeable. Guppies and endlers are both very prolific, so I am keeping a bachelor's-only male tank. I have set up a Santa Maria Endlers breeding tank that easily produced fry. I will leave a link in the description to that video if you are interested. I decided to make a few adjustments to the plant positions as I started to settle in, as I wanted to see more of the driftwood arch. I am actually quite surprised how red the driftwood became after a few days underwater. But I find the red of the driftwood really complements the green of the Anubias leaves. Male dwarf pandas remain small and grow to only about 1 inch. Both guppies and endlers are not schooling fish, but they like to be kept in groups of their own kind. I am keeping my dwarf pandas in a group of 5. They are a peaceful fish and are not picky eaters. I feed my dwarf pandas flakes, mini pellets, and frozen daphnia and brine shrimp. They eat foods at all levels of the water, from the surface to the substrate, and they will also pick at algae, so they will help to keep any algae in check in my tank. Guppies and endlers can acclimate to a fairly wide range of water parameters. I keep mine in moderately hard water with a pH of 7.5 and a temperature of 78 degrees Fahrenheit. My dwarf pandas have been really active, always exploring a different part of the tank. They seem to enjoy swimming under and through the arch. I hope this video inspires you for your next aquarium build. Let me know in the comments if you keep any guppies or endlers. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to support my channel. If you have the time, check out my other videos. See you next time from the Fishloft.